Mr. Timmons from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here today. I'm last, so we are almost done. And I want to apologize. Going last, it's going to be hard to hit some new topics, but maybe we'll hit some old ones in a different way. As you know, this committee has jurisdiction over the city of Washington, D.C. Last Congress, my Republican colleagues and I clashed with Mayor Bowser over homelessness and crime in the city, with city council members over the lunacy of D.C. election laws, and with officials in the Biden administration over D.C.'s criminal-friendly criminal code, particularly as it relates to bond. But today, miraculously, almost all of us seem to be in agreement on this one important issue: returning federal employees to in-person work and away from work-from-home agreements, from telework. Mr. Davis, could you briefly explain to the committee how vital the federal workforce is to the economy of Washington, D.C.?
It's over 40% of the workforce in the city itself. Small businesses, we've had over 100 have failed under this. The buildings are empty. The downtown tax base has dropped significantly, and it's hurting not only the city's economy. A lot of small businesses, as I've said, have gone under, but the metro system itself, where there's a huge federal investment, is geared to take a lot of people more to work than are going. People just aren't going in because they don't have to go in.
I couldn't agree more. While it has improved my commute time, I think that's the only good thing about it. Right. And I'll give that up if it means getting people back to work. Ms. Gressler, could you speak to the importance of federal employees, specifically those working for the Social Security Administration, returning to their offices?
Yes, we've heard from a lot of members today who have to take those complaints because they aren't able to get through to the Social Security office, whether it's being able to get somebody on the phone or get into the office, especially for elderly Americans who need to be able to see somebody face-to-face. You need to have people there.
Thank you for that. Now, some officials in the Biden-Harris administration deliberately slowed the transition back to the office by ensuring that telework would continue for years to come. Let me be clear, President Trump, this committee, and countless members on both sides of the aisle are committed to bringing federal employees back to their offices where they belong. City Councilman Chairman Phil Mendelson's representatives called the possible outcome of lawmakers' telework policies immensely consequential to the city of Washington, D.C. Mayor Bowser called on President Biden to take decisive action to get most federal workers back to the office. Biden's chief of staff, Jeff Zients, sent not one but two emails to cabinet leadership in 2023 emphasizing that aggressively increasing in-person work was a top priority for the president. I can go on and on. It was even in the State of the Union address. So, Mr. O'Malley, I guess my first question is, could you clarify whether the telework agreement you signed with AFGE includes any clauses or provisions that would allow a future administration to terminate or modify the agreement before its expiration in 2029?
Yes, sir. Here's the part I've read several times now. Management has sole discretion to temporarily change, reduce, or suspend approved telework days for any employee's office, component, or agency-wide due to operational needs.
So the next Social Security administrator could unilaterally modify that contract?
Well, the language is in the contract, and the term here is for operational needs, not out of spite or not to try to drive mass exodus of employees, which would just drive up wait times.
We could get plenty of studies to show that for operational needs, it would be necessary to bring people back to work. I guess I want to talk about the timing.
And they do work 5 days a week.
You know, I think certain jobs, do you track their productivity?
Yes, sir. You would be amazed at the amount of data this agency collects and tracks. I was sharing earlier that Drew Ferguson, who's left your company now, but he came up and he actually saw the real-time monitoring of those folks that are on the Tele-Service center lines. And by the way, if somebody presses the button for a callback, that is a service that's now there that was not there a few months ago. However, we are, at this time, the agency has been struggling with the increased volume from COLA.
Why are there such long wait times? Congressman Higgins just said 90 minutes.
Put that one back up. Because the staffing, Congressman, has been reduced to a 50-year low, even as the workload and the number of beneficiaries has climbed by like 50% since 2000. And that's the operational challenge. You know, when the White House called me and asked me to go there and try to turn the agency in a better direction, which we did, It's not healed yet. It's not the level of service that any of us would want. I mean, we used to have a high level of service, but we did turn it in a better direction. But really, we need the agency, seniors, people with disabilities need Congress to restore the funding that has been so greatly reduced over the last 10 years that would allow an adequate number of staff, not more staff than they need, but an adequate number in order to process the claims, answer the phones, and do those other things.
I think we're going to find some efficiencies, particularly by relocating and investing in new areas of the country to maybe address some call time issues. If there's somebody working in Hawaii, they can answer phones different than if they're working in Maine. And
We have 24 call centers all across the country. And we just ramped up in Albuquerque, actually.
great. Well, I'm passed out of time. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I yield back.